Hello, my name's Byrne. I've been fostering since the beginning of 2012. I chose to do long-term fostering because it suits me and my lifestyle. For me, being a single carer, it meant that I could plan ahead with a child, knowing that we would be doing things together over the longer term. My main reason for becoming a foster carer was that I feel that as a society we don't look after young people who are, through no fault of their own, set off on a path that often leads them into difficulties that they're not equipped to get out of by themselves. Long-term fostering is often the best choice for some children, particularly if they've already got well-established relationships with parents, and it would be difficult for them to move into another family. The little girl that I take care of is part of a larger sibling group, and although in general children are placed together, or attempts are made to place children together, in this particular instance it was felt that each of the individual children would do better if they were in separate placements. What happens is that the little girl who lives with me still has regular contact with another older sibling who's in a long-term placement, and also less frequent but regular contact with her younger siblings too. The process of introducing a young person into your home takes a little bit of time, because initially you have to get to know the child, and of course they have to get to know you. What happens is, once you're approved for that child, matching sort of takes place. Your likes and dislikes and so on are taken into account, and then when you've been approved to take that child in, you have a series of introductions where you maybe go out on day trips, and then perhaps the child comes to stay with you overnight before finally everybody agrees and the child comes to live with you. Leading up to the child coming is quite daunting, because you have to make sure that everything's in place, getting somewhere suitable. The little girl that came to live with me, for example, chose her wallpaper and her duvet cover and so on, and then I got the room decorated and prepared ready for her arrival. She didn't actually know that things were going to happen before she came, but she probably had a good idea because she's quite bright. I wanted to involve her in that because I felt that perhaps in the past she hadn't really had much control over her own environment and very much choice in the sorts of things that she was surrounded by. I think that part of the process of acclimatisation for both of us was that she started to make a few choices for herself, and also that I helped her to settle into an environment that hadn't previously had children for a very long time. The biggest thing of all, actually, was that there was a shoe rack in the wardrobe. That was the most exciting thing. She'd never seen anything like that before. Just absolutely hooping and hollering. She thought it was great fun. I think that we were very lucky the way that we got on together. Right from the start, we'd sort of got an affinity. I'm not entirely sure that you always get that, but we seem to have been matched pretty well. We discovered very early on in our relationship that we both love prawns, which helps, especially when you're going out and you want to share a sandwich. She asked a lot of questions when she moved in about the environment and the local surrounding areas. The sorts of issues, if you like, that we had initially, and the sorts of things that she asked about, were things like self-care tasks. She wasn't over keen on cleaning her teeth or having a wash or getting dressed. Quite often she used to say to me, "Do I have to?" And the answer always was, of course, yes, you have to. We found ways of overcoming resistance by offering lots of incentives and lots of fun, and doing quite a lot of tasks together, Believe me, I cleaned my teeth an awful lot of times during those first few weeks. You know, we have a lot of laughter, but we also have, it's quite a challenge. You've got to be prepared for things not always going your way and not to be downhearted. You've got to be a fairly upbeat sort of character, because if you're not, one of the problems with children with difficulty, particularly long term, you have to make it work. And it's down to you as the adult to remain on top of things. If you're finding things difficult, you have to challenge yourself, really, to look for an alternative way of dealing with the issue that you've got at hand. You can talk with your social work team, and they'll provide all the support and all the help, advice, guidance. They're all there for you. But at the end of the day, it's you and the child, especially if you're a single carer. So you've got to have good inner strength and resourcefulness in order to be able to meet those challenges head on. I've had quite a lot of dealings so far with the educational support for looked after children. They're a team that provide additional support from the educational front, and they've been really good because they've given extra funding for things like piano lessons. Because she loves the music anyway, she loves singing, she loves dancing, she's really musical. And I thought that if we could get her to have that structured, that it would also help. And she's doing so well and she loves it, and we play together and we laugh together about it, especially if I'm feeling sorry for myself, or I say, oh, cheer me up and play me something, she goes off and plays me a little tune. It's one of the things that's brought us close together. She does it as her party piece. We had a visit from psychological services as the little girl I have living with me was under assessment, and they could see such a change in her that they decided that she didn't need their support anymore, which was excellent and a real boost for both of us, really. But while the visitor was there, the little girl just wanted to show off her skills, which was one of the things that they thought that she would never do, that she was confident enough to be able to ask people to listen to her play. We do quite a lot of showing off in our house, and we positively encourage it. It's good for self-esteem to have a bit of showing off. When she first came, she was very resistant to structure and rules and discipline. Unfortunately, it's a bit backfired, because now she is the one who tells me when I step out of line. One of the things that she does now is she uses all my facial expressions. So, just a couple of days ago at the breakfast table, she raised her eyebrow at me and nodded her head to tell me she thought that I hadn't lifted my elbow off the table when I was eating. Whoops! Beware what sort of rules you lay down, because you might fall foul of them along the way. I think that this is the best decision I ever made in my entire life. I get so much joy out of seeing a little girl blossoming, growing, learning how to deal with all the trials and tribulations that life is going to throw at her. She's becoming confident. She's learning new skills every day. She's able to hold her place in the world, and I think that by the time she goes out into the world on her own, she'll be fully equipped to deal with whatever life throws at her. And I look and I think that that is one of my greatest achievements, or will be one of my greatest achievements. We're well on track. Everything's going just exactly as it should do. you have your ups and downs every day. There are things that don't always work out. You have to think of new strategies. So you have to be inventive. But as long as you stay on your toes, it keeps you young, it keeps you looking forward to the future, and it gives you something to aim for long term, both for you and for the child involved.